What's up guys, welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be installing the Perrin inlet tube and quarter intake on my car. So starting off, here I have the inlet tube. What this is going to do is actually create a much more free-flowing system for the car compared to the stock factory one. And it also will delete sound generator tube, so you'll have a slightly quieter cabin. So here I have the quarter intake. As you can see, the pipe for it actually has all the stock locations for the sensors, and this is also 3-inch, so you shouldn't need a tune from all of this. And then your filter. You'll notice it's actually pretty big when you see it in person. It's gonna allow for more airflow into the engine, which means more power. This is actually gonna mount underneath your front bumper, so you will need to take the front bumper off to remove the filter or just to clean it. So now that we have everything, we're gonna go ahead and start taking the car apart, and I'll show you how to do it. So to start off this installation, we're gonna actually need to remove the front bumper. In order to do this, you just have a few screws up here, and then a few clips to go along with it. And then you're also gonna have to go onto the side. You have to remove the side marker. In order to do this, you're just going to give it a nice tug and it'll pop out. And then also there's a clip up here. You can't forget about that one. And then there's also 3 right here. And there's multiple clips on the bottom as well as 2 screws on each corner. So all of these bolts are going to be 10 millimeters. So just start by taking the top ones out. So here's the clips I'm talking about. As you can see, it's just a simple plastic clip. And the way this works, in order to remove it, you're just gonna take something plastic and just pry it in there. And as you can see, I've popped it open, and then you can just pull them off the car. And once you've removed those screws, you can actually just pull this off, and then you'll have this piece. And just put this aside for now, you won't need it until you put it back on. With the side marker lights, all you're gonna do is literally just pry it out. Just give it a nice tug and it'll come out. You might have this one metal clip pop out on you, but don't worry, just push it back in. Then you'll just have a clip up here and then 4 down here. You'll have one here, one here, one here, and then one up here. You can't forget about that one. And then you'll just have a few more clips and screws along the bottom of the car. Just remove those and then you can pop it open. So once you've removed everything, what you can do is actually just go ahead and give it a tug. And see, the bumper will pop off. So with the bumper removed, everything's exposed and we can actually get working on it. So here's the stock air filter. It's located in here. And then you have your stock air generator tube. This just pumps in the fake sound into the cabin. And then here's your stock induction tube. And then here is the first initial intake spot where the air comes through and it passes through and then goes into the intake. So what we're gonna actually do is replace this part with the filter, and then the rest of this is just gonna be tubing. So I'll show you guys how to do all that. So actually installing this air intake is gonna actually give you about 5 horsepower, and it's actually gonna be a lot louder because as you can see, the stock system actually has resonators all over it. So all of this is a resonator. There's also a resonator underneath there. And what that does is just makes it a lot quieter. And by removing those with the new intake, as you can see, the new piping has none of that. It's just a straight tube. It's actually gonna be a lot louder since you don't have those resonators removing most of the sound. So the first thing I'm gonna do is actually remove all of this. So as you can see, there's a few clips and screws that are holding it on. So I'm just gonna remove all of those and then we'll go from there. So I've gotten the stock tube out, and I actually wanted to point out, so you have 5 10 millimeter bolts you'll need to remove, but make sure you don't forget about this one down here. It might be hard to get to, you might need to use an extension, but make sure you don't forget about that one because it is kind of hidden back there compared to all the other ones. So the next step is going to be to remove 6 clips. You'll have 1 here, and then 4 along the bottom right here, and then another one. This is just so you can slide the new tube in there and then actually have space for it. Then once you have all of that removed, what you're going to do is just remove this screw right here which holds the clamp down, and then these 2 screws that holds the sensor down, and you can actually take the stock airbox out and that'll give you room for the new piping. So as you can see, I removed the stock airbox, and after you do that, you're actually gonna have 2 screws way down here in the bottom. And what you're actually gonna do is then remove 2 more right here. And this is actually gonna allow for you to get the new Perrin tube in. So you're actually gonna have to slide it under here, and it won't fit just like this. So what you have to do is, since you removed those screws, you can now lift it up. And as you lift it up, push that in there and then align it up with your induction hose. But I'm actually gonna be installing the Perrin induction hose along with it, so I'm gonna do that next. So to do the induction hose, it's actually fairly simple. What you're gonna do is just have 3 clamps right here. 1 for the sound generator tube, 1 for the throttle body, and then 1 for the stock airbox. And then you're gonna have one more right here, which holds down the generator tube. And you're actually gonna run it back all the way back through the firewall. Might be hard to see through camera, but it runs along there into the firewall, and you're just gonna take it out. So it'll actually be a lot cleaner since you don't have that extra piping in there. So now I have everything loosened up, and all you have to do is just plug up the induction hose, which is right there with the included cap they give you. You don't actually need to seal it up. You can just push it on and it'll actually stay on there. And then you can just pull all of this off. You just have to work it out and it should just come out since everything's loose. So I've gotten everything out of the car. And as you can see, here's all the stock parts laid out. And it's just actually gonna be a lot cleaner now since we don't have anything going on this side. It's just gonna be a single tube going along here. And then our filter, which is actually just gonna be covered by the bumper anyways. So installing everything back on the car is gonna be pretty much the same as how you took the stock one off. The only difference is you're gonna be using the different parts now. So I'm gonna slide the induction tube on. As you can see, I've slid the clamp on. And at this point, all I'm gonna do is just slide it onto the throttle body. And you wanna make sure that you align this outlet for this sensor right here so it actually lines up. And you'll wanna make sure that everything lines up smoothly so you don't have any rubbing right here on the belt. So the last thing you'll have to do is actually install this plastic piece back in that goes behind the filter. So the way you're gonna do it is actually different from stock. So you're gonna have these included brackets and you're gonna actually use the same clips, but when you mount it, instead of mounting it into the stock holes, you're gonna mount only the ones on the outside to the stock holes. And then you're gonna actually mount one of them, which is on the plastic, upside down. And this one right here is actually mounted normally. This is just so it doesn't fall out when you're driving. It's actually a lot more secure when it's upside down like that. And as you can see, we're all done. Just need to piece everything back together with the front bumper and we'll be good to go. So now at this point, what we're gonna do is throw the bumper back on the car because we're done with the intake. So once we have this on, we'll be completely done. So now at this point, we're all done with the install. As you can see, I have the front bumper back on. And when you finish, you wanna just give everything a nice tug. Make sure it's on there nice and snug. And then also check your intake. Give it a good tug and make sure that everything's on there nice and secure. So that's it for the install. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys for the next one.